All right, so this is exercise 6, and we are going to draw using ellipses using our compass. All right, so what you want to look at on this is that it actually gives us an example here of how this is done. So normally what will happen is you're not going to have these lines here. You're going to essentially end up, you're just going to have the cube. And so if you look at the bottom, it's being very nice because it's actually giving you these intersections. But at some point, you're going to have to figure out where these intersections are. It's a little tricky at first. It's a little overwhelming. So just once you do it, once you get it, you do it like it takes you like I'll be honest with you, like half a dozen times, maybe a dozen, then it starts to be like, oh, this is easy. But I always forget. So I always refer back to this particular worksheet as I do this. So again, we're looking at the example. So if you look at the example that is provided for you, what it's doing is it's actually taking the intersection of the center of the circle. So if you know where the intersection is, right? So it's actually saying here's the intersection. So we've got a cube like this, and we're going to do the top view. And so we know that there's the center right there, right? So we know that's there. So then what we're going to do, if I was going to do this like here, is you start on the bottom and you go to the intersection there, right? So that's there. You start on the top and you go to the midpoint here. And so that is the intersection. And so that's very small, but if you look over here, that's how they found that point. So it's at the base to the middle, the top to the middle, and that's the intersection. And then you do the exact same thing, the top to the middle, bottom to the middle on the left side. And that intersection is where you put your compass. And so let's go ahead and do that. So this is really tricky. Sometimes what I recommend people do is put a tablet of paper underneath it, because what happens is when you do it, sometimes your compass will just kind of skate on the table below it because it really is trying to go in. So I will show you a demonstration of how you mess it up in a moment. The other thing you're going to have to do is when you get these things smaller, you generally have to bring your lead in. So I'm just going to go ahead and start on the larger one because I think it'll be easier for everybody to understand what's going on. So again, we started with the top, went to the middle, the bottom to the middle. We do it on the right side, and we do the same thing on the left side. And then what we do is this. Look at the example here, and I'm going to find this intersection, which is already given to me. And then I'm going to put my compass at that intersection. Then I'm going to go to the intersection, like so. And I'm simply going to, without hopefully having this thing skate around, make a circle, a radius, like so. All right. So rather than do the other one, change, because I've already done this, I'm going to keep the exact same measurements. I don't have to adjust my compass because it's all equal measure. So I'll come here and do the exact same thing. And it may be a little difficult for you to see those lines because they're not very bold. So there you can see I have done the right half and the left half. Now I have to do the top and the bottom. And these are actually a little bit easier because if you notice where these pluses are, that's where I put my compass. So now I put my compass on the bottom, and then I extend it out to that intersection. Again, I think the hardest part is figuring out where that intersection is and then just controlling your compass. These things have a mind of their own, especially those of you who bought the $5 ones or the $1.50 ones. This is just almost impossible. So all right, so there. All right, I did it. Yay. All right, so there's like that. And then I do the same on the bottom. All right, so it is much easier than what we were doing before, where I was telling you to look at the square and look at the 2D version and try to figure out where it was. So for example, when we do something like this, what I would have been telling you before was figure out that intersection, count over, figure out where it's hitting, and try to do it this way. You avoid that. You can do it either way, to be honest with you. I've gotten enough practice that I can just freehand it fairly well. So, but this is a much more accurate and much more time consuming. Having said that, you do really need to set this up properly, and it can get a little confusing. So your mission here, and I'm going to do it with you, is we're going to do everything on this worksheet right now. And I'm going to do it, and you can follow along. It's pretty nice because the textbook has given us all the points here. I don't really have to do anything except put the compass at that intersection, hope that it doesn't skate away, line it up, and you'll see it'll skate eventually, because I'm not, what I recommend you do is put it on a pad of paper below so it can dig into something, because it's just a matter of time. It's like drinking and driving. Eventually, if you drink and drive, you're going to get a DUI. So you don't want to drink and drive. All right. Okay, so there we go. Let's do the top one. All right, here we go. So we're going to do the same thing. I just readjusted it. I know I'm making this look really easy, but I have to be honest with you. I struggled even teaching this for the first year, because it can just get a little confusing where you put this. And it's like, this is not bad because it's all, it's given us these coordinates, but sometimes they don't line up properly and the paper shifts. And so I've already kind of messed that up a little bit. So it can be a little tricky. All right. So the nice thing is we've done it there. I don't have to readjust my compass. It's already there. I can go back and just clean it up. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the cubes below, right? So I've got those under my belt, a little messy, but now we're going to do this. So what I would recommend, because this is where it gets really confusing. We already know what the top is. And the other thing is, if I'm just like, well, do I need to adjust my compass? You could measure here and say, all right, that is approximately 2 inches. That is approximately 2 inches. So it's the same size. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this. All right, let's see how we do this. So these are identical. So let's start with the top, because I don't want to readjust my compass, right? So I'm going to go ahead and start here. And so I'm going to, well, maybe I do need to adjust my compass a little bit. Right. So there's that. And again, if you look carefully, it's telling me where to go. And so if I'm going to do that much effort, let's go ahead and just do the same over here. So what we don't see here is on the top one, it gives us the plus marks, right? And down here, we no longer have those little plus marks, but we do see the intersection, right? So we're keying on the intersection and then the top and the bottom. So intersection, intersection, top and the bottom. All right, so let's do this one over here while we have it in play. So what's going to happen for you is the book is not going to show you where to put your compass. All right, right now we see this intersection, and that's where I think it gets really confusing. Is it's not going to show that to us after a while here. So what I would do is it's actually going to be the exact. So everybody just kind of pay attention here. So if you noticed, I was from this point and I did the top and I went, but because this is equal measure, I shouldn't have to adjust my compass. So what I should be able to do is I could do the top, but then I could come over here and do this one. And then I could come over here and do this one without adjusting my compass. All right. And then I'd come to the bottom and do the same.
I'm having trouble with it looking more with pointed corners.
Yeah, what I would say is just make sure that when you do this, that you, somebody coming in, when you do this, just make sure that you put the point of the compass on the part and really just um, start at that intersection as close as you can. Um, to be honest with you, this feels a little fat to me, but I know it's relatively accurate. When I look at it, it just looks a little bit off. I feel like it should come out a little bit, but this is the standard that they use to do this. So all I can say is you're just going to have to practice setting it up properly, I think. Right, and then it doesn't help, like for example, now my lead is getting dull. What I generally do is if you don't have one of those sharpeners, I just buy more leads like there, or I just take it on a piece of wood block and I just sharpen it that way. But right now I haven't really adjusted my compass. It's all the same. But I'm going to probably have to start adjusting it because my lead is changing, but it's very minor. Excuse me. All right.
That's it.
Thank you. All right, so let me just keep going through here. So I haven't really changed my compass in theory. So again, what we are doing is we are drawing ellipses in an isometric drawing. All right, so there we go. I don't think I need any more of these. Now I can do the larger one. And so the larger one starts at these, actually the smaller one, excuse me, starts at this intersection. So now I'm going to make this smaller. And I think this is where it can look pointy if you don't set this up properly. If you're not dead on, this is a little big. So there's there. So again, I only really need, in theory, to adjust this twice on all of these. All right, there we go. I got lucky; it just skated out from underneath, but I caught it. Again, the intersections. So the nice thing about the compass, as I mess this up, is you will it should just be accurate. All right, so we're going to keep going here. I apologize if I muted you. I'm almost done here. I was getting weird feedback. All right. So believe it or not, when you print your paper, it stretches. So it never is going to be completely accurate when you print a drawing, especially if you don't, when you print, sometimes people will say fit into the space or print on the page, and then things get all kind of distorted. So that can be problematic also. All right, I think I'm doing well. But you can see how much faster it is once you get it figured out. And again, it's kind of give us a training wheels because it's told us where to go. But once you know where to put your compass, these ellipses can be done very quickly and accurately. because no matter how I did them before, I always felt like there was some guesswork involved. Because I was trying to transcribe. So I think I am done with this. I'm going to stop the recording.